Coming up on Unwritten.
The you that you are is closer than the you that you think you are. Religion is taught, spirituality is found. And religion divides, spirituality unites. It was like I had been in airplane mode my whole life. And I feel like 90% of society is in airplane mode.
To start by reading your opening quote by David Bohm, physicist, gets you to think. You said reality, or not you quoted David Bohm, said, reality is what we take to be true. What we take to be true is what we believe. What we believe is based on our perceptions. What we perceive depends on what we look for. What we look for depends on what we think. What we think depends on what we perceive. What we perceive determines what we believe. What we believe determines what we take to be true. What we take to be true is our reality. David Bohm, physicist, the OG sorcerer.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, that's when you have to really break down and think about each one in between, read a line and then think about it and then read about it and then it's
You can tell he put thought into that.
Oh yeah.
While he was writing, okay, what? Go back.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a good one and a good sorcerer type quote for sure.
So I want to ask you, how can we truly elevate our consciousness without taking our ego with us?
Well, it's not an easy task, and it's kind of something that has to be done daily. I mean, I kind of everything comes back to me seems like overnight, and so my mornings are very important to kind of get that ego in check because we all have one. It's just a part of being human. Like we all have this natural thing that comes with that's the part of the challenge of the whole kind of the simulation we're in. That's part of the challenge is overcoming
simulation theory.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. No, it's a simulation. It's your simulation, but it's a simulation.
Right.
But that's part of the challenge is overcoming that ego, and it can be tough to do. And enlightenment is just it's about finding who you really are. The you that you are is closer than the you that you think you are. Which, to think about that, the you that you are is closer than the you that you think you are. And so that's when it's kind of one of those zoom out moments. That's like you are not actually this character, this actor in this kind of life stage. You're essentially we're computers. I mean, our body is the hardware, the mind is the software, and who you really are is the person on the other side of the computer. So you are the observer and you are in control of everything. And it's hard to smash that ego on the daily. But that is you're observing everything and everyone else is kind of in the same boat. It's we're all coming from that same sea of consciousness. There is source energy, which is where sorcery comes from. It's spelled with a U because it's source energy.
Source, yeah.
Yeah, and we're all come from that. So there really is no ego. We're all the same thing. It's who am I? Well, I'm you. I'm just having a different experience. Keeping that in mind and creating empathy is a huge thing to kind of overcoming these natural human emotions that tend to get in our way. But it is a daily challenge, and my spiritual health, my physical health, my mental health, it is like a sandcastle. And you can have the most majestic, awesome sandcastles. I've seen these guys make in California that just are just incredible, detailed, amazing castles out of sand. And just they're incredible to look at. They're huge, they're amazing. But after a couple days, things start falling apart. And after about a week, it really is in rough shape. In 2 weeks, it's basically gone. So, I look at my health, whether that be spiritual, mental, emotional, whatever that be, as the sandcastle. It requires daily maintenance. It is taken care of every single day. So, and it's chipping away. And it's chipping away at the ego, which, that takes time. And, any prisoner trying to, escape jail is, just chips at it for a long time. They're like years. They have nothing else to do. They chip at that hole for like a long time. And finally the hole's there. But it takes a lot of effort, a lot of patience, especially in the beginning. But it's an ongoing process. I can tell you that. I have to do it every day.
Yeah, that castle analogy, just the first thing that popped into my mind was the concept of impermanence, how
Hmm.
nothing is permanent.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. So a follow-up to that would be, is it about chipping away the ego, transcending the ego, or is it about integrating the ego?
I think it's about all of them in different forms. Like it really is. It's all of them. At different points. At different points. It's my ego's gotten to the point where I've chipped away at it enough. It's more about integration now. But there's different stages. There's different
Mhm.
stages where integrating your ego when you have an extremely strong ego is not going to work. It's what stage of confronting your ego are you in, I guess. But yeah, it is, mine's kind of more integrating now, but for those that have a very strong ego and just maybe beginning the spiritual walk, you're going to have to start chipping away at it before you can
Yeah, I
integrate.
think it's hard because I think a lot of people don't really understand what ego is. People call people egotistical. And it's like, I mean, I think egotistical just means you're self centered, right? Like you only think about yourself, almost like a narcissist. But the ego is just a part of our identity. Like the simplest way you can explain what an ego is anything that comes after an I statement, an I am statement. It's like a part of your identity. So I think it's not being attached to the concepts that you call your identity more
Mhm.
so, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, you were the identity, you were the observer. You were not this.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
an illusion, and so it's important for me anyways to constantly kind of keep reminding myself of that, but it does take a lot of reminding because it's very natural to fall back in it. Really easy, really natural. The ego kind of stands for, edge God out, like it's
yeah.
I don't usually, throw around the G word as much because there's a lot of religiously traumatized people out there, but, God is source, source is
Yeah.
God. It's all that it's just I mean, there's a million, scientists call it dark matter, the unified field, and, the quantum field, the Akashic field. There's literally hundreds of names for God, but, ego, that's what it is. You're edging God out. So that's kind of I like to think about that.
Well, what do you think about the people that are dogmatic about their religion?
I mean, anything that's, refuses to change over time has me questioning it. It's just it's I can talk about my experience and that's part of
Yeah.
my whole thing, which was, fascinating kind of I spent about 10 years as kind of, in the Christian world, and that was something that helped me
Mhm.
kind of overcome my addictions at the time, had horrible addictions to all kinds of everything basically. And, that was the one thing kind of, the AA Christian route and, AA and Christianity, they go hand in hand together because they're, AA is basically just disguised Christianity. But
Really?
yeah, it's disguised. They had to disguise it, but it's the guy who started it, Bill
Yeah.
Wilson, has I have the highest respect for him, but the thing is if you're starting something that, if you're trying to solve an issue, so alcoholism is a spiritual malady. It is a
Mhm.
spiritual problem. There is no physical reason why people can't stop drinking. I mean, there is to a point, the whole DTs and shakes, and that there is a physical aspect, but there is no reason why the mental part of it, that there's no physical, that's a spiritual problem. So he knew that. And so what he created was a system that works very well, the 12 steps, and it helped a lot of people over the years. But it's all based very biblical. It's all the verbiage in there. It's all really, it's obviously, got its
Mm.
origins, its foundation
Mhm.
in the Bible, in Christianity. Because in 1930s America, you didn't have a choice. If you wanted to be spiritual, you had to be Christian because, the Buddhism hadn't
Alright.
made its way over yet. Jews were Jews, Muslims were Muslims. The New Age hippie movement, that was 30 years away. So he had no choice. He had no choice choice but to make
Yeah.
something that resembled Christianity. And I think if he was alive today, I think he'd create something more like this, the kind of sorcery thing that has no roots in any sort of religion. Because I think, the religion versus spirituality is a huge, they're two completely different schools of thoughts. Religion is
Yeah.
taught, spirituality is found. And religion divides, spirituality unites. So they're completely different things.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that's the one thing that just turns me off with certain religious dogmatism is it's like it really does divide, and it's like, isn't this supposed to be uniting us? But it's like anything, if you don't fit into this category, then you're blasphemous, or
yep.
if you don't fit into this category, you're praising a false god, or and it's like, aren't we supposed to be like unifying? And isn't God supposed to be impersonal? So it's like, that doesn't make sense. That sounds like man created that, not
Mhm.
God.
It's lost its best. Jesus would come back and say, "You guys screwing this up. You guys really." If Jesus could be disappointed, he would be in what Christianity has become in particular. And I talk a lot about Christianity because I was one. I can say whatever I want about it.
Yeah.
I don't like attacking other people's religions, but I was in it, and it really
Yeah, me either.
screwed me up. It really screwed me up. So I will say whatever I want to say about it. And it has its
Yeah.
good things. Of course,
Mm,
it
mhm.
has its. But the thing about being spiritual is you can take all those amazing things and you can leave the dogma and the laws and the rules, and now you're spiritual. So you can take anyone that considers themselves religious, take the best parts of your religion, keep that, throw away all that garbage that's like the fear-based controlling aspect of religion,
Mhm.
and now you're spiritual, and now you can actually like live lighter. Like, I mean, any
Mhm.
Christian going around is in fear. They might not seem like it. They might kind of seem like, oh, okay, in that kind of like cult, like, oh, everything is fine. It's not fine, because at the very core of that belief is fear that you or anyone around you is going to hell, and you have to act a certain way, otherwise
Yeah.
you're tormented forever. And so,
Yeah.
it's like this house. So it's like, I like to compare it in my own experience. It's like Christianity is this beautiful mansion, right? So there's like 17 bathrooms, and there's 16 bedrooms, and there's a theater, and there's a pool, and it's
Yeah.
amazing. It's great inside the mansion, right? But you're not allowed to leave the mansion. That's part of the deal. You can't. Why do you want to leave the mansion anyway?
Okay.
It's not. You don't want to leave the mansion because you know what? Out there, it's death and destruction. It's a zombie apocalypse. There's a nuclear holocaust going on, and you don't want to leave the mansion. So you're trapped inside this mansion for your entire life. Unfortunately, that mansion is built on a cracked foundation of fear, judgment, and control. So,
Yeah.
that's not something you see when you walk into a house. You don't see a cracked foundation. You just see, oh, this is beautiful. I'll buy it. Well, if you didn't have someone come in and like be like, this is built on a cracked foundation, and like in 10 years it's going to crumble. And that's exactly what happened with me. I went through this. I was in the stage, and that's where you see all these happy Christians. They're in the house, and they're loving the house, but they haven't been in the house long enough to be like, what's outside the house? Like yoga, meditation, even these
Or
things are
some people
considered
go,
taboo.
like, the reverse route. I've seen, like, I have some family that went the reverse route, like, they were into the new age, manifesting, yoga, astrology, and then they converted to Christianity, and yeah, and completely changed.
Yeah,
So now
that's
they're, like, saved again.
bizarre. But any
Right.
Christian will tell you that it's not. Well, because the whole saved thing is just ridiculous. I know for fact, because I was in a church service one time, and the pastor was talking, and he was just like, he's like, a lot of Christians were, it seems like we're unnecessarily living in a lot of fear. Like, let me see, raise of hands, how many people are confident of their salvation? The auditorium was filled about 300 people, and about 10%, so like 30 people raised their hands. And so 90% of that auditorium was living in fear. 90%. So you're looking at a whole
Yeah.
lot of Christians out there that are fooling themselves by thinking that they're not living in fear. Because every single Christian, if they believe the whole hell and damnation and you need to follow the rules thing, is constantly checking themselves. Like, oh, am I sinning?
Yeah.
Am I good enough?
Yeah.
Am I going to be led into the pearly gates? What if I'm not good? I don't think I'm good enough. And that's
Yeah.
what's going through your average Christian's mind, because
Messes
that's
with your
what's.
psyche.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's big time mindfuck. Big time. So that is
Yeah.
that is not something I deal with anymore, and it feels really good. And
Yeah, I say I don't subscribe to that belief.
no, no, no,
Um,
no.
and it's like one of the core reasons it's like I always feel like if you do subscribe to that belief where you need to be saved, it's like you're always one remove from source. The way you talk about source, it's like if you need an intermediary, you're always one removed from it. So how
Mhm.
can you like really connect with it if you're not directly experiencing it? And I mean, a Christian would probably say like through Jesus, but I
That's the
don't
thing
know.
too is every Christian's like, "I follow Jesus." The truth is they're not following Jesus, they're following their pastor. They are following their pastor's
Uh,
interpretation of the Bible, whatever that may be. And so there's so many different sects of Christians that are just, I mean, some are just completely off the farm with their beliefs and like, I mean, just, like you can't just such control, like there's no TV in this household and
uh,
everything is Satan, everything the world is a sin and just like that is so damaging
yeah.
to people's psyches. But the truth is they're not following Jesus. Their pastor, I'd sat in a pastor's like, and I'd talk with him. He has his seminary school diploma and everything. But, one thing I noticed was that Jesus wasn't the one who signed that diploma saying he could speak for him. Like that's not,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
that little piece of paper that says you understand the Bible means shit. Okay.
Yeah.
It means nothing. And you can go in and you can get your seminary school degree and then you can come in and interpret the Bible completely different. And you give the
Mhm.
Bible to 20 people, you're going to get 19 different interpretations. And only one of them is accurate or the way it's supposed to be. And it could be that all interpretations are wrong. So like it's just such a joke to me. It's like I follow Jesus, like, and that's not really what he wanted in the first place. He wants peers, not followers. Like walk with
Mhm.
Jesus, not behind a pastor. Most people are like, I follow Jesus. No, you're following your pastor, and Jesus would prefer you walk with him and don't follow him. Don't
Yeah. I
stop
mean,
following, walk with.
isn't idolatry like one a sin?
Yeah, well, and that's
Idolatry?
yeah, yeah. Well, and
But it's
that's
like
the
the
whole
whole
thing too.
religion.
Is people then twist those words. So it's like, don't take any, don't take a, false god ahead of you. Well, then people go to Buddhism and things like, oh, you're taking false gods ahead of, no, that's not what that meant. That meant these worldly
Yeah.
things. That meant, like, don't take money ahead of it got, the worldly things,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
and that's truth. Don't take those things ahead of source. But then, again, someone will interpret those words and say, well, nope, false gods, like Ganesh, false god. And it's just no, 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 no.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's these people out here, these Christians that they're not following Jesus, they're following their pastor, and whatever their pastor says is what goes. Even if Jesus is not here to say, yeah, that's right or that's wrong. So you're going on
Yeah.
blind faith that this is pastor, and I can tell you that Jesus is not going to come back and care about who and how people love. The whole gay thing, the whole trans thing that everyone is such an arms
Yeah.
about is just absolutely ridiculous. Because
Judgment, yeah.
yeah, the source is love. So in every church you go into, it says God is love somewhere on the wall. So if
Mhm,
God is
mhm.
love, then love is God, and love does not have a preference on how and who
No,
you
yeah,
love.
I
It is the
always tell
energy of
people.
love. Yeah, it is the
Yeah.
energy of love. It cannot be angry or upset because then it would contradict itself and create chaos. It cannot be source God, whatever you want to call it. It cannot be angry. It cannot be upset because then it
Yeah.
would it would it would cause chaos. It is all love. It is all love. You can't go wrong. And it's just such a better way to live than that fear-based way of constantly thinking you're in trouble, like, that's what I thought when I was a kid because I
Am
was
I doing
always in
something
trouble.
wrong?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I was always in trouble a lot, so and then I was feeling that same way as an adult, and it was like, God, I feel like this just sucks. This isn't it.
Mm.
This isn't it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, and what I've found in the amazing experiences I've had in meditation, completely drug-free experiences, like my Bliss attack, which is what brought this whole
Bliss attack.
book thing on. Yeah, I didn't have any.
What
I
is
didn't
a
have
bliss
any.
attack?
I never had a Bliss attack in Christianity. I can
What
tell
is
you that.
that?
So okay, so I was coming off. I was kind of teetering myself with drugs. So at this time, we'll have to go back a little bit. So my mother. I told you about the Christianity thing. Got me pissed off because my mother was pronounced terminally ill in 2018, and so it was kind of 2017. So it's kind of a year-long process of kind of watching the mind and body dwindle away, which is a sad and traumatic process anyways. But what made
Yeah.
it 10 times worse was this notion that she's going to hell, right? So every time I was with her, I was full of fear, and it made it so much worse because I could be like a shepherd into the afterlife right now, just be like, "Mom, you're gonna love it. It's like taking off a tight shoe. You're gonna be out of pain. It's gonna be fabulous." That's who I would be now. Who I was as a Christian was fear and dread and like, you never went to church, and now I have to deal with you possibly in hell, and it's just like it's insane. So I started after she passed, I started really questioning my beliefs and these things that were placed in me both as children and as an adult, these limiting beliefs that may not be true. So I started questioning those. I ditched my pastor in my church and I started seeing a shaman and kind of I started leaving the mansion and started going
The
these
mystical route.
routes. Yeah, the mystical route. Yeah, the yoga, the meditation, the whole manifestation thing, and I started seeing a shaman, and he opened my eyes to a lot of things, and meditation was one of them. And so as I'm deconstructing these beliefs and meditating more, and like taking my care of myself better, just body, mind, and spirit, the whole kind of that's the true holy trinity is the body, mind, spirit. All of a sudden one day, like I was still kind of jerking myself around. It's really in the past like 2 or 3 years that I've really gotten my sobriety game in order. But I was kind of jerking myself around a little bit, especially with
Mhm.
drinking. But I hadn't drank at this day. I had not drank or had any drugs in probably about 3 or 4 weeks. I was kind of doing the going back and forth and like binging and
Yeah.
then purging and that whole thing,
Yes, yeah.
which was still a step up on where I was. I've spent nights on park benches and in jails, so
Oh, wow.
yeah, so I it was a step up from where I was, but it still wasn't where I wanted to be. But this day, I was just doing a post workout stretch, and all of a sudden, I got overcome by just this wave of love that is indescribable. I can't put words to it. It felt just like I was at home. I call it my near life experience because it's not a near death experience because I was not dead. I wasn't anywhere remotely close to death. So
Yeah.
this was like this peek into the afterlife that where I could see it, and I was still very much alive and conscious. I was on I had to go in my bed and lie down. I was on the couch, and this kind of
Oh,
overcame me,
wow.
and I just lied on my bed and just experienced this for 3 hours. 3
3
hours.
hours.
Yeah. And so as I'm experiencing all this and all this stuff is I'm feeling this certain way, and I'm getting downloads too, like about truths and about the religious aspect, and like we're really off as society. We're just completely, like we're on this bad track, and
Mhm.
no one seems to understand how to get it on the right track. And it was like in that moment,
Yeah.
I had this thing's like you can help people try to get this on the right track and it wasn't in that moment that I had the vision for the book and the system and the 13 rungs and stuff. It wasn't in that moment. It was a different bliss attack. But in that bliss attack, I knew
Oh, you
my
had
life was
multiple
changed.
bliss attacks?
Yeah, I've had multiple. Yeah, yeah. I have them from time to time. I can't make them happen. They just happen when they
Yeah,
happen.
yeah.
But I've had multiple ones. And so
When do they
it's
usually come, do you think? Like, from your bliss attacks, like, what were you doing right before
I
it
can't I
happened?
don't know. I
Oh, you
don't
don't even
I can
remember?
it's different. Because it's
Oh,
different every
it's
time. I
different every
can't
time?
pin down like I had one, in my room after post-workout. I had one hiking in Sedona. That's where the book
Oh,
thing
wow.
came. I had one in the rehab center that I was in a couple years ago, and they just kinda come out of nowhere. Like, and they just but they're extremely important because they get me focused on a vision,
Yeah.
and get me and so they're really incredible, and the fact that the one came and just showed me how to write a book. I'm like a C plus student on my best day, okay? But, so, I'm not someone in the classroom that would be like, "Who in this classroom is gonna write a book?" I would not be picked. So, so it's and it just goes to show, I consider myself extremely special, but I'm not unique. And it just goes to show that
Yeah, I've read
anyone
that.
can tap into that. And that's what I created with the system is like this is a map to have your own bliss attack. So
Okay.
it's created like what I did and what I went through and how I did these things. And so I created an easy to follow map to have your own
Yeah.
bliss attack. And that's what kind of the
Have you
sorcery
heard of
thing is.
gnosis?
Yes, knowing. Yeah, it's like the knowing. Yeah, gnosis. That's that. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
that knowing. Yeah,
it sounds like that. They say like the greatest sages and prophets and messiahs, they shared that gnosis where it's like it's the knowing and wisdom that comes from within yourself or downloads or bliss attacks
yep.
that, maybe they were influenced by their teachers, but they created new teachings from within. And that's what it sounds like you've experienced.
Yeah, and I didn't even have like I have like many teachers now that I sought out after this happened, but I didn't know
Mhm.
about any of this stuff, like the field and like the quantum field, the unified field, and like connecting to that as like a Wi-Fi. It's like it was like I had been in airplane mode my whole life, and I feel like 90% of society is in airplane mode. Like like if you think about a phone in airplane mode, like it's still useful, it's still functional. You can play your music and whatever, but you can't call on it, you can't get
You're
text,
not
you can't.
connected
It
though.
is not. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're not connected.
you're not
That
connected.
is a phone that is not living up to its full potential. And so I
Yeah.
realized I was in airplane mode. I think all children are off airplane mode, and it gets put on somewhere around 8 or 9 when they start listening
Yeah.
to society and then they start listening to limiting beliefs. But yeah, there's no question I was in airplane mode. And that I like to say, like knowledge comes from books, but wisdom is sourced. And that's where it
Mhm.
and that's where
Yeah.
it came from, was like just this wisdom out of nowhere. And because I didn't know it, I didn't seek it out, it found me. And then I found other
Mhm.
teachers that my Greg Braden and Joe Dispenza and Bruce Lipton and Teresa
That's how I
Blakeford, and
feel too sometimes though,
they're out
honestly.
there.
It's
Yeah,
like
yeah, it's just fascinating experience.
yeah. It's like why like what really is driving me towards like studying what I'm interested in. It's like why am I like yeah, it's interesting, but like why am I interested in it? It's
Yeah,
like
well, that gets deep. Yeah. Yeah, that's you've found. Well,
um
I would say, you got to follow your bliss, and that's how happiness
mm,
comes. And that's a Joseph Campbell thing, and that's one of the rungs, is to find and follow your bliss. And by doing that, you find what puts you in the flow state, which is when time disappears. Time isn't actually real.
yeah,
It feels like
yeah,
it is, but when you're in the flow state, time is non-existent, and so
yeah,
that and that's what I found in this, is that I found something. It used to be sports. Sports used to put me in a real flow state, and especially when I was playing well, and like that, there's just nothing be better, and time was non-existent. And so, getting older now, and I hanging up the basketball shoes, and I had to find something else. So this came in really good timing,
yeah.
because it's something happens in that 40-year-old threshold that
No, I
makes it
think
not as
for
fun.
anybody, yeah, if anybody can find something that puts them into a flow state, I think that's a good indicator
You follow it.
that
Yeah, it doesn't
yeah,
necessarily mean it's
yeah,
gonna be some amazing, like,
yeah,
crazy
yeah.
huge career. For me, it does tie in with the career, because I wanna start. This is very new. The book came out 6 months ago. I'm just starting off. But I'd like to be kind of mystical comedian and make tours, because I used to do stand-up comedy. So
Oh, really?
I used to do stand-up comedy. So mixing the
Man,
mysticism with the comedy, I don't see that a lot. I see a lot of really good spiritual teachers, and I see some funny comedians, but I don't see a good mixing of the two. So I think there's
yeah.
something there. I don't know how that's gonna happen or how it's gonna work out, but my job is to just keep focusing on that energy. But in my case, it is leading to a complete life change. But it may not be something, and your bliss may not be something that alters your career. But if you're following
Yeah,
your
yeah.
bliss, then you can work a career. No one should be working a career that they hate. If you hate it, get out.
Oh, yeah,
But at
yeah.
least like it. You don't have to love it, though. You don't have to love your job.
Yeah.
You don't have to love your career, but if you have to find something you love. Otherwise, it's going to drive you right into the grave. Like if you're coming home from a
Mhm.
job that you just kind
It's
of
just soul
mildly
crushing.
enjoy. Yeah, even
Yeah.
even a job that you mildly enjoy, and you're coming back and you have no love in your life for other things, and it's not just finding a person, it's finding what brings you that love naturally, and without relying on something on the outside world
Yeah.
necessarily. It just kind of, And then you can recreate that flow state in meditations because your body starts, you can memorize that feeling and then you can get that feeling. I can get it in a meditation. I can feel like I'm winning a
Mhm.
championship in a meditation because you can kind of get your body and like, okay, so this is what it feels like. Get your body to
Yeah, the
start
mind
memorizing
doesn't know
that.
the difference
Mm-mm. Nope.
between, what you visualize and reality.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to see. I'd love to see you do more
Yeah,
stand-up shows.
it's it would be it's yeah, it's would be really funny. I've been working like I just the other day I've been watching a lot of these channelers and there's probably some charlatanism to channelers, but I think a lot of these the information they're saying is too extra dimensional to not come from another dimension. I don't know if you watch these channelers like Bashar, like they have these people that come in and they channel not ghosts, but
Oh, I seen, what's her name? The girl?
Sheila that
Esther? I think her name's Esther.
there's a few of them, and they're
I'm like, I don't know how much I believe in this. Like, it's like
it's hard to believe at first. It could just be good acting, but the information is what
yeah.
sells it for me. The
Okay.
information is so look up Bashar.
For
Bashar.
sure.
Yeah. Bashar and I don't know if you have Gaia. Gaia is an amazing Gaia is like Netflix for consciousness. There's a bunch of stuff on there. But
Oh, yeah.
if you
I've
look
seen
up
Gaia.
yeah, I have Gaia. So
You
there's a
subscribe
lot
to
on
Gaia?
there. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I watch it. I was just watching it. But yeah, there's definitely a lot to that if you know what's going. Oh yeah, just the comedy thing. I was thinking about like creating a sketch that was like channeling, like where I
Oh,
could like
okay.
give good advice but be funny too, like and channel make up like some funny character from another dimension and have it be funny but also informative at the same time. So it's all still coming together. It's all
Yeah.
very new, but it's all the
No,
importance of
I
finding
love
your
that.
bliss.
I love that because I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, yeah, I don't me neither.
it'd be new, it'd be fun.
It would, yeah, it definitely would be. And the book itself is really funny. I mean, I made sure, especially the stories when I talk about myself, I kind of wrote it like the big book a little bit of Alcoholics Anonymous, where the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous starts with Bill's story and kind of his background because you want to know
Wow.
who your author is and like who is this person, like talking about all this stuff, and then he kind of gets into the 12 steps. For mine, it's 13 rungs, and so I set it up very similar, but I made it really funny. The big book of AA is not funny at all. There is not one point at which I laughed reading that book. It's
No, I love it. I love people who have a sense of humor. It's like you don't always have to take life so seriously. Like you have a stick up your ass is like what I say. It's like sometimes just enjoy life, and I think humor is a good way to do that.
yeah, yeah, no, it absolutely is. It doesn't need to be serious all the time. When you're dealing with kind of trauma, there's times for it, but it definitely doesn't need to be
Mhm,
serious all the
mhm.
time. And that's the thing is like people can only heal in a state. People are only open to accept and choose and believe to the state that they're currently in. So, that's when you have a bunch of people in fear. That's why I made the beginning of the book very funny because it lightens the mood and it gets people in a good mood to be willing to start healing. That's the thing with
Yeah.
doctors these days is there's the problem is when someone comes in and they're afraid they have cancer and so they go to a doctor and they say, I think I have cancer. And then they do the biopsy and it's like, yes, you have cancer. Okay. All right. At that point you can accept for what it is. It is what it is. But then it comes in and why in the world doctors give prognosis is just beyond me because at the point that someone says, is willing to hear that, okay, I have cancer. Okay, now they're in a state of
Mhm.
fear
Yeah,
and
yeah,
like they're in this heightened state of fight or flight.
yeah, and your
And
body,
now you tell them,
manifests it,
yeah,
and
yeah,
your
well,
body
yeah,
sometimes, like, exacerbates it after you hear
yeah. And
that
now
mind
and so
body,
now is not a time for like it's saying how long do I have? Because now, someone's saying, well, you have 6 months to live. They're willing to accept that because they're already in that state of fear. And so now it's become a belief. So doctors are programming people to die. I don't think they're aware of
Mm.
that, but they are programming people to die in a certain time period. And of course, you always hear about the person that, heard the doctor say you have 2 months to live and lived 30 years. Well, that's a sorcerer right
Yeah.
there. That's someone who didn't accept, like, I don't accept what you're saying. Just
Yeah.
because you have a degree, you have a worldly degree on your wall does not give you divine
Yeah.
authority. So the people
Yeah.
that end up living another 30 years, those are the real sorcerers. It's like, no, I don't know.
If you
I don't
were a
accept that.
doctor, what would you tell them?
That's up to
If
you.
you, like, seen, like, cancer, like, all the signs of cancer, like, what would you tell them?
I'd say you have cancer there because it is
Okay,
what it is.
okay.
But how long you have that's up to you, and it can
Okay,
be
okay, yeah.
because it can be, and those dis-ease. It is disease in the body
Yeah.
and the mind is dis-ease in the soul. And
Mhm.
so, no doctors are going to come in and say, I think you need to start working on, get your spirit right. Maybe go to a shaman and align your
Yeah.
chakras. Like no doctor is going to say that. No one's going to say that. They're going to say, get the chemo and just stick it out.
Uh,
We'll see what happens. That's terrible
Take this
advice.
pill.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And that's all we know is something outside of me needs to come in and make me better when really what made you bad was
Mm.
you. So what can make you better is you. So there's a horrible misunderstanding in our medical society, and it's just the spirit is left out of that trifecta, the true holy trinity that I talked about, mind, body, spirit. That is the
Yeah.
true holy trinity. But the spirit is left completely out of that trinity in the medical world. And it's only recently that they
Yeah.
decided that the mind and body are connected. Because for the longest time,
Mm.
those weren't connected. It's only
I think the
very
psychology.
recently, yeah, very recently,
Yeah.
within the past 10 or 20 years, they're like, okay, they're connected. And
Yeah.
there's still some people that refuse to believe that the mind and body have anything to do with each other, which is just crazy to me. But the spirit is continually left out, and there's no way
It's
to
because there's no
cure anyone.
science.
Yeah, well, yeah,
It's
there's
because
no
there's no
science,
science to it.
and they
It
don't really
can't be
wanna cure
explained.
anyone. They don't wanna cure anyone, man, because a cured individual lines no one's pockets. A cured individual
Uh,
means you're gone, you're no longer a customer. You're cured.
yeah.
They don't want that. They don't want that. So
They
it's
want
not only
temporary.
yeah, they wanna manage your symptoms so that you have to come back. "Oh, you're having more symptoms? Come back, and we'll pay us, okay, and
Have you
here's some
ever
more
seen
pills."
a pharmaceutical commercial?
Oh, yeah, yeah,
And
I've
then
seen
the
them my whole
side
life.
effects that they read in, like,
Oh, yeah, I make
10
fun of that in the
pages and
book. I make fun of
screens.
the whole the commercials are just ridiculous because no one's really paying attention when you're watching commercials. You're actually in alpha, and you're kind of when you're watching TV and
Of,
commercials, you're in the brainwave state of alpha, and you're not really
subconscious.
yeah, it's a subconscious thing, and they know you're not really paying attention. So they can throw stuff in there and they're all like, dream-like sequences of,
Yeah, like
people,
frolicking in the flowers or
yeah,
something.
yeah. Oh,
What are
yeah,
they
yeah,
doing?
going to a movie with friends and this is the life you
Everybody's
want.
smiling.
Yeah, yeah,
And so
and
the
then they tell you about the anal bleeding at the end of it, and it's like, this has been known to
may cause
to
head bleeding.
to cause yeah, it may cause it so that guy skipping through the meadows is definitely not leaking blood out his ass, like that, there's no way he'd be smiling like that. So it's, and
Yeah,
yeah, it might
it's
cause
so
suicidal or
ridiculous.
homicidal thoughts, like
Yeah.
I'm trying to make this feel better, and you're telling me
It's
I
like you
might
treat
wanna
one
kill my cousin?
symptom. Yeah, that's the problem with big pharma and Western medicine. It's like you treat the main symptom and then a whole bunch of other symptoms that come after that. And it's
Yeah.
like, okay, now I have to take more meds for those symptoms. And it's
Yep.
like,
Oh, that's
maybe
it.
just
Yeah,
don't
and then you
take
have 9
anything.
refills. Yeah, then you have 9 refills you're doing each month, and you have no idea what they're for. I went through that with when I was struggling with my mom dying. It's like, well, I don't even know what the fuck these are all
Mm,
for, like and I like to compare, like, so there's an absolute place for the medical society that we have now is
yeah.
amazing when it comes to the body. So, anything that's considered acute, go see a doctor. If it's considered chronic, you need to do some inner work. So, if I fall off a ladder, there's
Hmm.
a bone sticking out of my arm, this is not a good time for meditation. Okay.
Right, right.
Acupuncture, don't send me to an acupuncturist. I don't need, some needles and some relaxation. I need a surgeon. I need a surgeon to
Hmm.
place
Hmm.
that bone back in my arm and sew it up and do the whole thing. But after that, the doctor's part is now done. The body heals itself. What made the body heals the body. So if you think about kind of the sorcery aspect, it's about healing and it's about setting the emotional bone, the emotional spiritual
Mm,
bone, because there's no way to heal trauma of an emotional spiritual kind. There's no way to heal trauma without first setting the bone. Because if you don't set the bone, if you think about it like a body, it's like touching that sore area. If you
Mhm.
never went to a doctor and you still have a broken bone in your arm, it's gonna hurt forever until you start,
Yeah.
and you're gonna be very conscious of it. You're not gonna let people touch it, and if someone does touch it, you're gonna get a reaction. Get the hell off of it, So, and that's the
Yeah.
same with emotional trauma. You're guarding it. You don't want anyone to touch it, and when someone does, you react.
You get super defensive,
Yep.
yeah.
So you have to understand how to set the emotional bone like you set a physical bone in your body. And that's what kind of the sorcery
Mhm.
thing does is, and I also believe in psychedelics. I think psychedelics plus the sorcery thing is that's the magic of healing because, things
Mhm.
like the ketamine treatments and psilocybin and
Yeah, I did
ayahuasca.
one. I did a
Yeah,
ketamine one.
those are all very effective in kind of rebooting the brain. But the thing is if you want to heal after you
Don't
reboot your
become
brain,
dependent on it, yeah.
well, you can't become dependent on it, and then you gotta change. You have to, like, because
The integration, yeah.
if you just continue being your same personality, your personal reality is gonna continue to match that.
Mhm.
So yeah, if you start with a reboot of one of these, and that's the cure. Like, that you can reboot your brain with these,
Yeah, it
and
helps,
then
like I think psychedelics are a good way to open people's minds up, where it's like you were so rigid, but
mhm.
now maybe if you try a psychedelic, it helps open your mind up to other decisions you can make.
Yeah, no, it absolutely does. And the reason it may not work for some people is because they just continue going on with their lives after they have this amazing experience, which usually lasts,
They don't, like,
like
actually
a month or
change.
2. Yeah, yeah. That'll
Yeah.
last, like that'll change people. Just one of those experiences without doing anything can change people for like, a month, 2, but eventually if you're not following a new
Their
path and
habits kick
and
back
and
in.
healing, there
Yeah.
is no healed. It is only healing. So
Yeah,
that's where
yeah.
the sorcery comes in, is like if you can find yourself like get a brain reboot and then start kind of following these rungs that I created. And it's ancient wisdom. It's not something I created. I tapped into the source energy to kind of download this stuff, but they're not.
Yeah, what did somebody say? It's like, there's no new idea. Some
Yeah.
author or writer wrote that. It's like,
Mhm.
any new idea you think is yours, it was already thought before.
Mhm. Yeah, that's the consciousness. That's the field, the sea of consciousness out there. That is the we're all swimming in an ocean, we just can't see it. And it's when you become that fish that can finally see the water, it becomes very frustrating to talk about other fish about the water because like if you think about like explaining source energy to someone is just like explaining water to a fish. It's like we all live in it. It surrounds us at all times. It is our water. But explaining that to someone where there is a substance here, like, it's like, no, there's not, but there is. And a
'Cause
fish
it's
would feel the same
invisible,
way.
yeah.
Yeah, a fish would feel the same way. What does a fish think about water? It's like, what do you mean water? Like, it doesn't have a concept of water. It just moves and it doesn't understand water. So
Yeah,
explain. So once you're the fish that sees the water,
yeah.
explaining it to other fishes is really difficult. But
Oh, that's a good way, yeah.
I enjoy it, and it's not something I would go back. I would never wanna go back and, just because I see things differently now and, like, not everyone is caught up can be kind of an impatience thing, with people, like, dealing with unconscious people is tough.
Yeah, I think you just like, I deal with family that is dogmatic. So it's like, for me, the way I don't know what you want to call it, reconciled with that is just choosing not to engage in it. It's like, it's okay that we don't believe the same thing. It's like that, if that like makes you a better person, then so be it. But
It's
yeah,
it's not one
I'm not
size
gonna,
fits all. So,
yeah,
and
I'm not
that's the problem with
gonna
religion is they wanna shove, religion is.
exclusivity.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exclusivity, and it's shoved in your face, like, this is the way to go, this is the only way, and
Oh,
every
yeah,
every
yeah.
religion says that, and so, sorcery is about attraction, not promotion. It's not about shoving new ways of life in people's face because that's gonna be, "No, no, thanks."
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, no, if it works for them, it's certainly.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
it
just choose
works
not
for
to,
a
like, try
time,
to
but
debate with those types of people
it's
anymore.
not
It's
worth
like,
it.
if
It's really not. And they're
yeah.
not they're just running their program. We're all biological computers running a program. And their program is to run that one. Like Microsoft,
Yeah.
when you open Microsoft Word, don't expect it to be Excel. you know? So, like Microsoft Word can only be Microsoft Word. It can't be Excel. As much as you want it to, it can only be, it takes, it took a whole new program. And, things can be reprogrammed and people can, we live in a world where Word can become Excel. People can reprogram
Mhm.
themselves, but you can't expect that because it's something that has to happen with effort and change and over time. But yeah, with your family, don't expect Microsoft Word to be Microsoft Excel. It's not. And there's just a lot of unconscious people. So these are sheep. One of the rungs also is goats over sheep. Okay, so and sheep are just these animals that need to be told what to do. They're just lost. If they're not told what to do by
Yeah.
someone, they're lost. And so
Yeah.
the world is full of sheeps, but I
It's a
encourage
coping
people to be,
mechanism
yeah,
for
be
a
a
lot of
goat,
people.
which
A
is
goat.
greatest of all time. Like that word
Oh,
gets
okay.
thrown around. But also the animal itself too it's kind of funny because it not only works as an acronym, but the animal itself is just kind of this unhurtable, do its own thing kind of animal. It just does its own thing.
It's
And,
hurtable?
yeah, it's unhurtable. It's just you're not gonna tell a goat what to
I
do.
didn't know
It's like
that.
it's not a hurtable animal. You cannot tell a goat what to do. It's gonna do whatever it wants to do.
They're free range.
Yeah, it's just gonna do whatever it wants to do. And so, there's something to that. And goat obviously is the greatest of all time, which is, I love that it gets thrown around a lot. But anyone that's has done something great didn't listen to other people. Other people can have great
Mm,
ideas, but we have discernment. It's the sorcerer way
yeah.
is discernment. You have to know what you like about, I'll take that. No, I don't agree with that. Oh, that is good. Oh, no, that's garbage. So it's discernment, and so you can get good things from other people, but you have to discern what is good and what is not. But the people goats that do amazing things, that live amazing lives, are not sheep. They're goats. They have their own way of doing
They
things, and
walk
they
a
don't.
different path,
But
yeah.
especially the religious type, they are sheep, and they call Jesus the shepherd. And
Oh, wow.
again, yeah, they are sheep. I mean, that's what Christianity wants. That's not what Jesus wants. Christianity wants
Yeah.
you as sheeps, but Jesus wants you understanding that you are a reflection of everything. You are the universe.
Yeah,
You are a
like, when I
slice
read
of
the Bible, yeah, it's like, you tell a Christian well, the way I see Christianity is, like, Jesus was telling us to be like him and that,
be him.
uh,
Yeah, be
it
him.
wasn't exclusive.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, so it's, like, somewhere along the line of the interpretations of the Bible and Christianity as a whole where it's like, we do need him, and it's like, wait, wasn't he trying to teach us that we don't need him and that like, isn't it said in your law that we're all God? Like he says that in there,
Mhm.
and then it's
Yeah,
like,
the kingdom of heaven is within you. Yeah, there's a lot in there
yeah,
that isn't focused on in Christianity. They like to focus on the other thing. We're like, well, that's kind of vague. We don't want, and that's the thing with the
yeah,
Bible. Is there's
yeah,
so much good stuff in there, but then there's
yeah.
a lot of it's
The
filled with both.
interpretation of it, yeah,
There's both and. So the Bible is full of both divine wisdom and egregious lies. It's both.
yeah,
And the beautiful thing about the Bible is it makes you have that discernment I'm talking about. It
mhm,
makes you have that. So it's a beautiful book in terms of like going in and having the discernment to say, I like that. That I don't like. That nope, that's lies, that's garbage. Because the book was written by man.
yeah,
There's some
yeah,
divine wisdom in it that came from God, but it was penned by people, and a lot of times we don't even know the credentials of these people. I mean, the Gospels, we
mhm,
don't know who the Gospels were written by. If the Bible was a piece of art, no one would buy it because it has no provenance. Provenance is when you can trace a piece of art. The Mona Lisa can be traced back to Da Vinci's hands. And so it makes it completely, it's probably worth billions now. But the Bible cannot be traced to anything. So in the art world, the Bible would be worthless because we can't trace like who is this coming from? Who is all this
yeah.
we don't know.
Well,
So
and then
it's
another problem is when people read the Bible, because I've been studying the Bible recently myself. People read the Bible often to hear or read what they want out of it. So there's a sort of it's called confirmation bias. I'm sure you probably heard of
oh
it,
yeah.
where it's like you want to read something, and when you read it, you're like, oh, it just confirms a belief that you already have.
Mhm.
Whereas the way you're supposed to read the Bible, even scholars will tell you, it's like you're supposed to read it from the eyes of that time and what they meant during that time and what the society was like at that time. And there's so many words in the Bible that just don't mean the same thing that they do in modern English. So,
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's
so
an interpretation thing, yeah, and it's been so watered
yeah.
down by now, like, if you think about when you put a copy of when you're making a copy, if you make a copy of something in the printer and it shoots it out, okay, now you've got a copy. Now you put back on the printer that copy, not the original, the other copy, so now it comes out and it comes out, well, it's good, but it's a little bit lighter. Well, now you put that
Oh,
copy
yeah,
back in the print, and eventually what comes out is just a white piece of paper. And so it has gotten that over time. The original intent has been watered down like a copy of a copy of a copy, and so there's nothing in there that take what works for you, like just and leave the rest. I compare going, so I love to compare the Bible going into a cave because it's dark and scary. But there are gems that you can find in this
yeah.
cave. So
Mhm.
it's like going to the Bible is like spelunking. You go and you pick the gems and you leave the rest.
Spelunking.
It's yeah, you pick the gems and you leave the rest because a zealot will come out and take everything. But they have
Mhm.
the gems, but they also are weighed down by all this useless rocks and dirt because they've taken
Mhm,
everything.
mhm.
And so, the sorcerer enters the Bible and looks for the gems, goes spelunking and keeps the gems and just leaves the rest because there's a lot of
So,
garbage.
so what are your thoughts on the New Age thought? Because a lot of people of various religious faiths will say New Age is selfish. It's all about yourself. You're just focused on manifesting something. And what do you think about that?
Well, as Gandhi said, be the change that you want to see in the world. So it all
I
starts with
love
you,
that.
with us,
Yeah,
with one
yeah.
person. And the only way to change the world is to change ourselves. So, and that's why I love the new age because it is about, yeah, it's about focusing on yourself. And they always say it is imperative, when a plane loses oxygen that the parent puts the
Oh,
oxygen
yeah,
mask on
yeah.
themselves and then it's like, well, that's selfish. It's like, well, no, you can't help a child if you're loss of oxygen. You're of no help.
Mhm.
Now a child needs help, so it's like it's helping
Yeah, I think
yourself.
people get confused when they think of new age as selfish because they think like that the end goal is all about yourself.
Yeah, no, that's
Like,
and that's a misinterpretation of it. That certainly is. It's
yeah,
it's not, and
like
and
all you think about is your desires and your what you want to manifest, and that's the end goal.
well, it's being that light instead of like just the religion thing is controlling, trying to help like get other people, but New Age is about just being the light and attracting the moths to the light. You're just being that light
Mm,
and putting out that light as opposed to attraction over promotion. That's where religion gets wrong. Their promotion and not attraction. And that's what people can
mm,
like, no,
mm.
you can keep that. But the new age thing and like the sorcery is about attract. It is about putting out there. It's being the light. If you hold a light up during the day, it doesn't do a lot. But in the night, it lights everything up.
Yeah,
And so, just being that kind of flashlight and drawing people in is how change happens. It doesn't change does not happen by forcing people to do anything. It is about changing yourself and attracting people to that change. Like, oh, I did
yeah,
this. Look, I
yeah.
did this for me. You can do this for you. So it's being selfish by not being It's like the end goal is not to be selfish. It's to focus on
Mhm, mhm.
yourself and show what can be kind of done and then spread that. It's like the whole thing in the sorcery. I assist leaders, the last one, and it's about spreading it around, like, and that not only helps other people, but it helps you too. So there's kind of a selfish exchange I get from doing like this or like or helping people with their spiritual walk. It may seem like I might be helping someone more, but that's not true. They're helping me equally as much by kind of once you learn to like teach these things and attract people in, it strengthens you. So that there's no
Mhm,
way to
mhm.
succeed in this world without putting yourself first in some way.
No, yeah, I actually wrote down a acronym. I call it triple S, selfish, selfless servitude. If you can find something that is selfish in a way that is fulfilling to you, but then it's also selfless, it's helping somebody else or a community and it's serving people.
Mm.
So
Yeah, and when you're living your truth and kind of once you found your bliss, and if that's considered selfish, but now you want to help others, and that's you just
the
naturally want to do
selfless
that.
part, yeah.
But you just naturally want to do that. Once you've bettered yourself, now you want to help others. But the key is to focus on
Yeah.
to first healing, because you can't help anyone if you're not healed yourself. And that was critical on my part to like heal before I could get out there and help others, because otherwise you're just doing a disservice. You're harming instead of helping. So to have that focus on the self is how you help others. So it is not to see it as it's to see it both as selfless and selfish at the same time. It's both,
Mhm, mhm.
because you're healing yourself in order to get out there. Once you've come a long way, like it's just natural to want to get out and help others. It just is. You don't need to be told or forced to do it. They say in the Bible, faith without works is dead. Well, I get, yeah, true
Mm,
enough, but there could be an addendum that says, works without faith is dead, because
mm,
having that I want to do this, I want to help others attitude is how you truly grow. It's to have no expectation of it, to help, and to have no recognition, to not want recognition. A lot of people that help other people, they want the recognition. Well, that's the reward you're going to get. If you do things and you for the recognition, and then you get a reward, that's your reward. But if you do things in anonymity, now Source is going to come and it's going to reward you in a different way, because you haven't been rewarded by people knowing.
yeah.
So now it comes in. That's the real reward. So, a lot of the religious kind of thing is to help others, and to, I did this, like I'm helping, look at me, like I'm doing this for me and for God. But
That's ego.
yeah, there can be a lot of ego in that. But if you do it in
Yeah.
anonymity, now you've got something. Things really come in, and it can be very exciting, because the reward from Source is always a million times better than any recognition you're going to get from a person.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't think people should live that way anyways, where you're always seeking some sort of validation from others.
Oh yeah, no, it's a terrible, terrible way to live. It leads to pain and misery. If you care,
Yeah.
the best way to become a prisoner is to care about what other people think, because now you've become a prisoner. You are a prisoner to other people. So free yourself, free yourself from the shackles of what society wants to put on people, because it is a prison of belief, and so many
Yeah.
people live in a prison of belief. That's part
Yeah.
of like the whole sorcery thing is to get out, to understand you are in a self-imposed prison and you have the key. You're just sitting in your cell with the key, not realizing that the key can let you out of your shackles. You're just sitting there with it, not doing it. It's just like thinking you're stuck, but you actually have the key. So it's self-imposed prisons are one of the biggest deals in society, I think, are one of the biggest hardships people have, is so many people are living in a self-imposed.
Well, that and I think one of the big problems in society today also is politics and beliefs. It's like you're judging somebody's entire character based off of one aspect of something that they believe in, and it just causes so much division and conflict.
Yeah, and that's what they want. It's a big giant illusion. American politics in particular is just this
American
giant
apocalypse.
American apocalypse. It can be rather apocalyptic. Yeah, it's just a horrible. The American politics is just horrible. It's just horrible. You really what it is it's an old sales trick that I used in when I used to sell cell phones. Like
Mm,
you don't give someone an array of cell phones, and you don't try to choose the cell phone for someone. I would narrow it down to two cell phones. Like, okay, based off
mm,
what you're going to use and what you might sounds like, all right, so we've got model A here and then we've got model B. Which one do you want? There's no option of option C or not choosing. That makes people say, okay, I want A, because they're forced to a
pick a
choice.
side,
And
yeah.
that's what American politics is. And there really is no change. Change is like this dollar on a string that's being pulled, and like you keep going for it and it gets pulled away, and like it's
Carrot on a stick.
real change. Yeah, real change is just this. is just the dollar on a string. Like, oh, it's right there. Oh, no, just kidding.
And
Oh,
there's
it's
like no
right there.
middle ground.
Go.
Yeah.
And so it's, there's politician will get in, and it is a giant illusion because a politician will get in and change some things. And then 4 years later, they elect someone else. Someone new comes in, and they'll change some things. Then 4 years later, that like, oh no, that wasn't good. We'll reelect this, and it's just this constant Republican, Democrat,
Cycle.
Republican,
Yeah.
Democrat, Republican, Democrat. Well, this isn't working, so we'll change. And then, but nothing really changes. The
Yeah.
one thing that I would love to, there's never been a politician that's come out and says, I'm cutting funding to military, because they won't allow that.
Mm.
Those that are in charge,
The
there
deep
is,
state.
yeah, they're out there. It is a very real thing. Around the time of the Industrial Revolution, when people started having more power than the government itself,
The
they took over.
NGOs.
Yeah, they took,
Yeah.
yeah. You don't know who they are. They're not on the top of the list. This is not Jeff
But they're
Bezos, Mark
funding.
Zuckerberg. They have nothing to do
Yeah.
with anything. They're
They're
lower. They're
hidden.
old money. Yeah, the
Yeah.
banking, and they make sure that the world stays at fighting. Because if the world stays fighting, then they can't realize who they really are and empower themselves.
Mm.
So the idea is to keep people and
The
you
rat
see
race.
actual fighting in the Middle East. Here, it's verbal
It's
fighting.
yeah. It's
It's
verbal, emotional,
And sometimes it does get physical, but it's not. We don't have a war here.
spiritual.
Yeah, we don't have a war here like we do in the Middle East. But it's the exact same thing. Of this is the good guys, we're the good guys, those are the bad guys, and that's the
Well,
illusion.
sometimes it does get violent, right?
Oh yeah,
Like,
yeah. You saw that
yeah.
with the Capitol thing, and
Charlie Kirk.
yeah, it does get violent. We're not necessarily at war. It's not like the Middle East. We're not at war, but it can get violent, and for the most part, it's more of a verbal sparring that people. But it's still having the same effect as if it was war. It's having the exact
Mhm.
same effect. We're just not losing as many people to death,
Mhm.
but it has the same effect with the verbal and like, oh, that's what you believe. Oh, and automatically you've
Mhm.
disconnected yourself from that person. So yeah,
Yeah.
it is a giant illusion, and it's extremely clever and extremely smart by those that are in charge to it doesn't matter if a Republican or Democrat wins, that this same funding goes to wars all the time.
Mm.
Biden sent the same amount of money to Israel and as Trump did, and it's just it doesn't matter who's in office. We're going to continue funding
Mm.
war. That is the one thing that will not change. We will continue to fund war.
Another
And
revolution. That's the only
it's just
thing.
ridiculous. We're $35 trillion in debt, and it's like that drug addict friend that you have, like I'm not going to spend money. I'm not going to go get heroin. I swear. I'm going to buy food with it, and I'm, like that's where our
As soon as
taxes
you
are.
give them money.
Yeah, as soon as you give them money, and they're gone. They're buying drugs. It's the American government is the exact same way. We won't spend, and then you spend it on war. It's like the government is your drug addict brother-in-law that it's just such a
Yeah.
joke. It's very sad. Politics are what they are because there is a happy medium and there is a middle
It
ground
causes
that
so
can be
many
found.
so much division amongst
So much,
people. Yeah.
so much, and it's very hard to go against people's beliefs to think that they might be wrong. And the fact is that Democrats are both right and wrong, and Republicans are both right and wrong. They're right about some
Yeah.
stuff, they're wrong about some stuff, and no one wants to. If you're a Republican, you have to agree with everything. Like if you're Democrat, you have to agree with everything, and that's why I don't side with either one of them because they're both full of crap. But there is a happy medium in there where if you just led a heart-centered life, we wouldn't need government. We wouldn't need people telling us what
Mm.
to do. And that's kind of scary for those in charge, but that is the truth. Is
Democracy.
if we're all living the heart-centered life, and unfortunately we have kind of the best democracy. We don't have like monarchs and kings and stuff, and that's good, but we're still not there. We don't need
We
government.
still
We
don't
don't
really
need
have a true democracy.
Oh yeah,
There's
no.
like
Oh no, not really. It's of course not. I
yeah,
mean,
the people
ours looks to be
the
the
few
best, but there's
people
still stuff going on.
yeah, the few people in charge of many, not the many in charge of the few.
Yeah. And that's
Yeah.
sad. But if people could find what I found with that Bliss attack and like just how to start treating people better, like there's one rule, like in the Bible, there's all these like commandments. There's like 600 commandments. Of course, there's the top 10.
No, Texas, they were trying to pass a law to put the 10 commandments in all elementary schools. And I was like, what is the difference of that between what North Korea is doing, putting Kim Jong-un as God in all their schools?
Yeah.
you're programming people to only believe in one thing, and you're not allowing the freedom, what America's based off freedom, to think differently outside of that.
Yeah, well, and there's no need for these laws, and, like, if I tell you don't think of elephants, you're thinking of elephants. So, like, this whole list of don't thou shalt not this, thou shalt not that. You're now putting it into, like, why not? Like, a
Programming,
rebellious
yeah.
person, yeah, it's like me.
Mhm.
And there's all these there's just one, and it is to love others like you wish to be loved, treat others like you wish to be treated. You follow that one rule, everything
Mhm.
is fine. And even the commandments, you put those 10 commandments up, it's missing a couple really important things. You've got thou shalt not steal or commit adultery, but you've got nothing about, like, rape or child abuse. And I'm pretty sure those two things are above stealing and adultery or taking the Lord's name in vain. Like, who came up with these?
Mhm.
What order are these in? Or what are, like, because you have nothing about child abuse or rape in here. It's like, oh
Well,
yeah,
I think one of them is a dogmatic one where it's like, "This is the only way," or something. I think it's, like, the last one, it's like, "Thou shalt only know this God and the one
yeah,
truth," or
no other
something.
gods before you, which
Yeah,
is
yeah,
another
yeah, yeah.
which is another one that gets twisted around, which is why that people are, like, trying to convert Buddhists or Hindu, because it says in the Bible, don't
Says
take
right
any other
here,
gods, but that's not what that means. Those gods are the same God. It's all the
the
same
God of
thing.
love.
So what that means is don't, which is it's absolutely accurate, is don't take the monetary, the worldly things, because
Mhm,
many people out
mhm.
there take money as their god or any of those other things, and
I mean,
and
I
so
think
that
that's
is
what we're programmed, even as kids, it's
oh
like,
yeah,
money doesn't grow on trees.
yep, yeah, yeah, no, it's
Gotta make
that's
money.
And that's
Yeah,
kind of a belief that's put in there. There's never enough, and it's that kind of
never
scarcity
enough,
thing,
yeah.
and it's trying to turn that around and trying to create a new perspective, because perspective is very, very important. How you view the world, it's not that something has to happen to you. Maybe something happened for you, and I've been through
Mhm, mhm,
all kinds of really hard situations and tough traumatic things, and yeah, I can see where things did happen for me as opposed to me, and I've experienced some really, really hard stuff. And so if I can kind of come around and have that perspective, other people can too, and it's a big help.
mhm. Have you heard of, Carlos Castaneda?
I've heard the name. It sounds familiar.
So, he was a anthropologist and, author and writer. He actually was a sorcerer. So, I
Nice.
thought
It's
I
my
had
people.
I thought I, would pull up one of his quotes. Carlos Castaneda described being a sorcerer is someone who is in a state of heightened awareness and the ability to act based on intent. Intent is the universal force or source that connects all things.
That's it. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, you
That's
should
it.
read some of his books.
Yeah. No, I definitely
Uh,
will get out there, and
Carlos
especially.
Castaneda, yeah. He's another OG sorcerer.
Yeah, yeah, apparently, yeah, sorcery's been around for a long time. I just added a U to it to separate it a little bit from the Harry Potter kind of stuff. I'm not gonna be able to teach you how to remote, like,
Oh,
to
yeah.
levitate the remote, your phone to your hand, or turn your roommate into a
Leviosa.
frog. Yeah, it's not that kind of sorcery, so that's the U is a big deal. It separates itself, but he's got that's it. That's what this kind of sorcery is about. That's exactly it. He nailed it.
Yeah. Have you heard the saying by it was an old Zen saying from Lingji. He said, "If you see the Buddha on a road, kill him." What's your first thoughts on that? I'll tell you the explanation of it, but I want to know your thoughts on that first.
First of all, I've never heard that. I don't know. What see, enlighten me. I don't know why that would even. What would,
So so Ling Ji and his teacher Wang Po, I think they were Zen philosophers around the year 700, 800 China. Their philosophy aligns deeply with your sorcery. It's called the one mind philosophy. And he wrote a book called Huang Po wrote a book called The Transmission of the Mind. And the saying, if you see the Buddha on a road, you must kill him. What it really is trying to say is that attachments of any form is the final illusion to shatter. So basically saying don't be completely detached from anything.
Yeah, no, it's a little extreme if you want to kill. Yeah, but
Well,
it's
not like metaphorically speaking,
yeah,
you're not actually gonna kill him,
yeah. No, I
but
see where.
don't idolatrize and don't be attached to him as like it's kind of like it relates to the Jesus thing where like Christians are attached to the idea that they need to be saved by Jesus. In ancient Zen Buddhism, this is what they were trying to get is that any form of attachment is an illusion.
And I totally agree with that because if something in this world is making you happy, you're in trouble because that something can always be taken away. And that's kind of that the joy versus happiness. I talk about this in the book too. It's, joy is that underlying peace that I've found that I have all the time. Happiness chasers are everywhere. They're just people that are not happy in between the things that make them happy. So, like if,
Mm,
and it doesn't have to be, of course, drugs and alcohol are out there. That's a big
addic
one.
yeah.
But, any addictive gambling could be sex. I mean, it could even be healthy stuff. It could be like exercise, like people like to hunt or whatever. But if you're not in your thing, you're miserable. If you're not doing what makes you happy, you're
Mhm.
miserable. And so that's happiness
That's an
chasing.
attachment,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's happiness chasing. And that's attachment to the worldly things. I have
yeah.
found so much joy and, it's really interesting. I've been thinking about this. I've found this joy. And now when I do things that make me happy, it doesn't like shoot it up as much as it used to, which is fascinating. And I don't mind it at all because I have
Dopamine.
this joy. Yeah, because I have this joy now. I don't
Yeah.
need happiness as much. So now when I do the things that make me happy, it's not this extreme jolt because it would be, if you're miserable and then there's this extreme jolt, that's very addicting.
You
But
keep seeking it, yeah.
yeah, now the things that I do that make me happy, there's not that extreme jolt that happens anymore because I already have this kind of this joy, this peace. So it
Mm.
is really interesting when you start pursuing the joy and the peace. The things that make you happy might not make you as happy. They still make you happy. They're still enjoyable. But what I've found is like because of this underlying joy that I constantly have, when I do these happiness chasing things, it doesn't shoot me up into this ecstasy anymore
Yeah.
that it used
I
to.
think that's just that I think that's just being at peace, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Joy. Yeah. Yeah. Joy and happiness are
I
very,
think
it
that
is
that
peace.
joy and that peace, yeah, it's like I'm in a state of peace right now. So it's like I don't necessarily need these jolts. Like the jolts won't increase my peace.
Yeah. No, they don't.
Like I just have a underlying sense of peace within. So it's like I don't necessarily need those jolts, but they're nice
Yeah.
sometimes.
They're still fun. I don't want to scare anyone away. Like they're still, you still get fun and you still get happiness out of them. But yeah, it's not
Mhm.
nearly as extreme. And that's what I've found too, is that these happiness things, they're not as enjoyable anymore.
So are you addiction free or are you
Yeah, I mean,
still
yeah, I no, I don't use anything. It's an amazing way to be completely sober, and I try to work on myself in terms of nutrition well and putting in your body and working out and doing all the good
what
things.
advice would you give to somebody who's currently battling addiction?
Well, there's hope is the biggest thing. Hope you have to stay anchored to hope in your sea of desperation. Um, if you stay anchored to hope, that you'll get better. Even if you have like multiple, I've had many relapses and back and forth over
Relapse.
the years, and oh sure, yeah. I mean, I've been addicted to things since I was
Since
17.
you
I
came
mean,
out the
yeah,
womb. No, I'm
I'm
just
not
kidding.
sitting. Yeah, I'm not sitting here. I mean, pretty
Addicted
much,
to the
yeah.
bottle.
Yeah, no,
Addicted to the baby bottle.
and yeah, even in my childhood, I loved food and TV and those things that so even before I was substances, but I really enjoy being sober and being free from it all because there's just nothing. And it's not to demonize drugs and alcohol. I mean, it is not drugs and alcohol or sex or gambling, whatever your thing is, whatever your
Your
symptom is.
vice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's it is the attachment to that vice that causes the suffering. So, it's never to demonize things, but I really like, and there's hope, and there is a way to get through things, and that's what I'm doing. I'm helping people one-on-one and helping people individually, but getting through stuff like that. It's like I wear different hats. I call that my spiritual Sherpa hat. I make up a lot of names for myself. It's fun, but that's kind of what I do, is to help. You know, a Sherpa never isn't gonna, put you on their back and carry you to the top of Everest. It's your journey, but you do need someone to show you the way, because no one climbs Everest without a Sherpa. And the spirituality thing can be even more daunting, healing and spirituality, because there's no summit to reach. You just
Yeah,
it's
to me,
there's no summit.
spirituality is this feeling of surrendering, this feeling of trusting, this feeling of being grounded and connected. Like that's how I describe spirituality
Mhm.
personally.
Yeah, no, it's the most important. We cannot not be spiritual. I mean, like, you have to involve it in your life and to embrace it, and whatever that's going to look like. It can, and that's kind of what I've been doing to try to get this out here, and very humble beginnings here and starting, but there is hope. So that's the main thing I would want to tell people, is that there is hope, and it can be
What
done.
would you tell the atheist that just believes we just turn to dirt and
Well, I'd like to talk, because it's that kind of thinking is fascinating to me,
uh,
because you're always going to
yeah.
believe something. You can't tell me you don't have faith or don't believe, because you're believing that there's nothing.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you believe something no matter what, but that kind of, like, we all hear just randomly, floating on an asteroid.
Yeah.
So if you
Yeah.
think about that, if you walk into your apartment and there's an ornate chocolate cake sitting on the middle of your dining room, right? The atheist kind of scientific approach would assume that out of nowhere, all the ingredients collided together and then superheated in this moment of pure chance, as opposed to just thinking there's some intelligence that put this here. So to me, it's just like, that's the kind of thinking that is, how do you do that? Like, how do you just, everything's just completely random, and like, but
Well,
it's the,
well, one of my arguments is, the human mind has its limits, and I think there's some things that we just can't explain, and maybe one day science will finally
catch up.
explain, yeah, explain spirituality that ancient teachings have been teaching for thousands of years. But until that day, I think there's always going to be those people where it's like, I need evidence. I need to physically see something. And it's like, our brains are limited. Like, you know,
Yeah, it's always been science versus religion, but
hmm
spirituality is a blending of the two, and that's where it's really beautiful. The quantum realm, the quantum physics is
hmm
getting into spirituality, and that is,
hmm
there's a melding of the science and, yeah, religion and science, but spirituality is kind of the melding of the two. And so it's, if you're open to those kind of things, I mean, it's a provable thing. A particle can be a wave or a particle based on you looking at it. So, and it proves it at
Oh
that
yeah,
level,
the
yeah, the observer
observer
effect. So
effect. Yeah.
what they say is there's the science of the big and the science of the small. Well, that's not really true. The science of the small is the science of the big. It's just, it takes longer. We live in a realm of time. So when you start,
Mm.
you can absolutely change your life and focus on things and turn that. It's like you're taking waves of probability and you're turning them into particles of
You're
reality.
focusing them.
Yep. You're
Yeah.
taking those and you're turning it into particles of reality. And so it's taking those waves of possibility, turning them into particles of reality. And, at the microscopic level, this happens instantly. If you have a measurement or something, measure it turns into particles. If you have nothing looking, it's just a wave. So,
Mhm.
but it's not measurable on the large level,
Mhm.
believing something, but it is. It just takes we live in time. It's not real, but it is, we need it. And so things take longer. They're just not instant like they are at the quantum level. It's instantly, and that's why they've proven it, because it's instant, but like this, it takes time. But it is,
Yeah.
the science of the small is the science of the big, and spirituality is the melding of science and religion. They can finally start getting along, because it's taking the best of both worlds. It really is.
Have you ever seen the quantum entangled atom?
How do you mean? Like, what does it look like?
Uh, Yeah.
Does it look different than a normal atom?
A quantum entangled
You
atom?
mean even
Yeah.
when they're held separately and you play with one, or like if you rotate one, the other one will
No,
rotate?
no, no. So quantum physicists, they created this quantum particle collider
Oh,
thing,
the Large Hadron
and
Collider. Yeah, yeah, the LRC
and
in Geneva.
I don't know specifically, but I just know that they had two atoms and they like physically collided them together,
Mhm.
and the image that was created was the yin yang symbol.
I have not seen that, but that is, yeah, that is the Large Hadron Collider. That's what they do. That's quite an impressive machine. That's fascinating, and
So
that's
it's like what were the like ancient Taoists like what were they seeing when like they seen those damn atoms like
well, yeah, and you know they're seeing on that level. I mean, it's just the
like what inspired them to create the yin yang symbol like this was pre Christ I think it was like 3,000 years ago like 600 BC was like the first writings of Taoism and the yin yang symbol. And it's like fast forward to today, we have a quantum entangled atom that looks exactly like a yin yang.
yeah, that's interesting. I didn't realize that they do all kinds of research with the entanglement and like two particles are connected, even though they're not connected. They could be a million miles apart. They are connected,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
that's the idea of entanglement. But it all comes from that field. It is that field of energy that
The
connects us
invisible
all.
field,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's like, so I like to explain it. I kind of asked how it worked and I got an answer. So it's pretty fun. But like I was trying to understand how entanglement worked and to talk to people about it. And it's kind of like, so if you're in water, bolt of electricity, if you're in a pool, a bolt of electricity can strike on the other side of the pool, you'll still be electrocuted because it's conductor. It conducts the electricity. But if you're in the ocean and, lightning strikes off, the coast of Cuba and you're near Florida, you're not going to feel anything because electricity is limited by classical physics. It can only go so far, so fast, and it'll dissipate. So it is limited by classical physics. Entanglement is not. So we're swimming in the sea of consciousness, if you think about it like an ocean. Your lightning bolt is the thought, but the lightning bolt will not lose conductivity because it is made of the same substance that the conductor is made of. So it would be like if you're in an ocean of electricity and a bolt of lightning hits it. Whatever's in that information of that bolt of lightning is going to be transferred instantly, fast. It
Hmm.
will not
Hmm.
lose
Hmm.
speed because the stimulant and the conductor are made up of the same thing. We don't have oceans of electricity there.
Mm.
So, but it's that same thing. Your thought is the bolt of lightning. And so it hits the sea and can be instantly transmitted. That's how you have someone like, oh, I was just thinking about you and you called me. Like that's that kind of instant. Yeah.
Synchronicities.
So it
You ever
cannot
heard of
lose.
that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Synchronicities are a huge part of my life. I see them every day. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is entanglement and that's how it works. It's the
And
stimulant
nothing's
and the
like
conductor.
obstructing, is it?
No, no,
Nothing's
no.
obstructing, right?
Mm. Everything's connected by this field of energy, the source. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I was like, oh man, I'm gonna have to tell people that. That's a good way to think of things because like I don't consider myself a super smart person, so I need it dumbed down. Like I see all these like quantum physicists and like things. It's like they talk and that's kind of me is I can
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
understand stuff, but I know most people can't understand what they're saying. So it's like, okay, you gotta translate this into what people can kind of
To
understand. And
layman's
yeah,
terms.
layman's terms.
Yeah.
So I was really appreciative of Source of giving me something that I could understand instead of, just
No,
it's
I'm the same way. Like I like to listen to scientists and teachers, but sometimes like it can be so dry. It's like
dry, yeah, and they're
that's
just
why I think
too
that's
smart.
why
Yeah,
they're just above my
they're just too
intellectual
smart.
capacity.
People can be too smart. When you're too smart, you don't understand how to communicate with people because you're too smart. Um,
Ah,
so
yeah.
so
It's
the
like
trick is
you
finding the
gotta
medium.
yeah.
Be smart, but know how to communicate with people. So there's definitely
Well,
something
Einstein
to
said
that.
it, He said if you're smart, you will be able to break down complex concepts to a kindergartner.
Yeah, You can. I mean, I don't know if they're going to understand it. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
but if you're able to, break it down to the point of them understanding it at their level, which is kind of what I talked about, the
Yeah,
entanglement and the water thing is like that's easier for people to understand. So if you're able to put a complex subject and, put it in terms of, like
like
making a
analogies and
diagram in the
metaphors.
sandbox or something, so yeah,
Yeah.
you can definitely do that. But yeah, people can be too smart. Yeah, and you got to find that happy medium.
Yeah. So you talk about remembering who we are in your book, and I wanted to ask you, why is it important to remember, and what are we remembering?
Well, I mean, it's critical to understand who you are because that's going
Yeah.
to make you have a much better life, be a much kinder person, to understand that people are not separate from you. They are you. We're all one consciousness
Yeah.
broken up into many different parts. So, I mean, so a slice of pizza is still pizza, isn't it? So, we're all
Nah, I'm
just
Supreme
a
Pizza.
little, that works. That's good stuff. I love
He's
pizza.
pepperoni, I'm Supreme.
But yeah, no, but once you understand and you see that, so the whole namaste is recognizing the light in me recognizes the light in you, kind of
Yeah, I
thing.
bow to you.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
it's critically important to understand, and you know, curiosity is the key to kind of understanding other people and things. And so the curiosity in terms of other people, curiosity in terms of who you are is critical in just managing day-to-day life. You'll be a better person. You'll be smarter. It opens up things in you once you realize that you are nothing and everything,
The
at once.
paradox.
Yeah, you are truly nothing and everything. And
Well,
that's
the Tao actually has a verse that talks about that. He says the sage lives in paradoxical unity. That's a verse in the Tao.
yeah, everything's paradoxical. Everything like it's the world is extremely paradoxical. The both
Yeah.
and, like
Yeah,
things
yeah.
can be two things at once. It's both and that kind of thinking is extremely useful and helpful in your
Yeah,
day-to-day
it's not
life.
so
When you
rigid.
realize, yeah, when you realize that two things can be true at once, it really
Mhm,
changes
mhm.
things because the human mind automatically wants to box things. It either is or is not.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
it's not, if you train it to unbox things, that's when true growth can really happen. Spiritual growth is when you stop putting things, because it's only natural. It's only natural for humans to put things in boxes. There are good and bad people. There are, but if you're able to unbox that and realize everyone is, two things. There is the
We
shadow
all
and the
have good
divine.
days, we all have bad days.
Yeah. And we're made up of the shadow and the divine, and we have both sides to us,
Mm.
and every human has that. And the natives used to say, we have a light wolf and dark wolf. That's the shadow and the divine.
Mm.
And whatever you feed more is the one that becomes most prominent. So you have a lot of people in society that are feeding their dark wolves that are just not great to be around. And you can love from afar from those people, but
Mhm.
you're choosing who you want to be. And if you're not constantly questioning your thoughts and your feelings before they become actions, you are an organic robot. You are one of the role-playing characters. If you're not constantly
NPC.
Yeah, you are one of the NPCs in the simulation. If you're not constantly questioning your thoughts, you're a programmed robot. And so that's
Yeah.
the most important thing people need to understand is start questioning your thoughts and feelings before they become actions and see what starts happening in your life. Like, really sit down and do
Mhm.
it. Like, having a thought and
That awareness.
yeah, the
Yeah.
awareness is
It's like the
people that are
first step, I
struggling the
always
most
tell.
have yeah, it's the people that are struggling the most I've found have the most little awareness.
Like, no awareness.
Yeah. Yeah, they have absolutely no awareness. They are unconscious, programmed, living their life of misery. And some people don't
Mhm.
want to be woken up. Some people don't want to leave
Mm.
when something has become familiar, people are always going to gravitate towards what's familiar. I mean, that's what
Even the
happens.
pain.
Yep, that's what
Yeah.
happens with the battered wife syndrome. They've been beaten as a child. They find someone who beats them, and then it's like, why don't you leave? Well, that's because that's what they think they deserve. They think they deserve to be beaten.
That's
They've been
so
beaten their whole life. And when
that's
they
so
leave
crazy.
something, I had an ex-girlfriend who came from a very abusive childhood,
She
abusive
liked it rough.
relationship. And so she was used to, there's parts of that that's fine.
Choking
But
and
overall, that part is okay. But overall, she was used to getting yelled at and berated and told that she was shit.
So whenever you weren't
And she
doing
left.
that.
So that's one of those
Okay.
things that's like she wasn't getting what she deserved. And she felt like she deserved to be treated like shit. And so she wasn't
Yeah.
getting, so just like someone from a healthy relationship, you're not treating me like I deserve, that phrase kind of brings into mind that's like, I need to be treated better. Well, in some cases, I'm not treated like I'm deserved. It means that I need to be treated worse because that's what they're used to.
It's programmed since childhood
Yep,
sometimes.
we're always it's programmed in there, and we always go towards what's familiar, no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
So to be aware of that, like, oh, okay, I'm going to gravitate towards someone that's not healthy for me. I need to be aware of that and look for these signs. It's like, oh, yep, I found these signs. And now I'm aware instead of getting into a whole nother toxic relationship again. Creating awareness around the human condition is the best thing we can do for ourselves because we are programs, but we have the ability to wake up from that.
Yeah, it's funny that you brought that up because I had just watched a psychological movie based off of Sigmund Freud and Carl Jung last night, and it was based on a true story, but like over dramatized, obviously, about Carl Jung's extramarital affair with one of his patients, and the main premise of the movie was that she had that exact issue. She went in. This is when like talk therapy and psychoanalysis. This was 1904, where this stuff was like brand new, and they were like people didn't just sit down and talk to people to vent about life. And she would describe her childhood and her father beating her, and then that led to the affair where she would want him to beat her while they had sex.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like something in there is like programmed you to want that, even though it may not like be normal.
That's what you deserve. It is a belief, and that's the key of waking up is to start searching your shadow for what kind of beliefs are holding you back, and that's one that certainly she deserves that. And I've been in a relationship that's like, yep, I didn't. The bedroom is one thing that can be kind of fun, but it's
It's funny, yeah.
But she needed it all the time, like, and I just wasn't going to do
Yeah.
that. Like, I wasn't.
Like,
She
I am
wanted
not
me
in
to.
the
She
mood.
wanted, she wanted me.
Spank you
She
right
would try
now.
to bait me into arguments because the charging energy of anger is very, very. It's very charging. It gets you high. So she would look for things to get her angry, and then she'd try to pull me into it and try to pull this argument out of me so that she could get high. That's what it was. She was getting high on
on the
anger,
chemical of anger,
and she wanted to fight. And then she would do things
and
to
then
try to
make
make
up
me.
sex.
Yeah, yeah, there'd be that too. But because I wouldn't feed into that, and like
She left.
yeah, I wouldn't feed into that. I just so I was a boring person to talk to because I wouldn't argue with her. I wouldn't argue with her. I wouldn't. She wouldn't hit her. I wouldn't. So.
Yeah.
That's what she wanted. That's what she wanted from me. And so. So when she wasn't getting that enough, she left. She just I'm no fun. So, I see that now. I can see people, and I look back on all my relationships. I can see all the brokenness in the women that I found.
Connect the dots.
Yeah. And it's like, yep, I've attracted what I am in each one of these women. There's a reflection going on in me that was showing something that was inside of me. And so I like being single. I'm good. But it's just this need to always gravitate towards what's familiar. And without knowing that that's the case, you're just destined to repeat things over and over and over and over.
So Justin, I want to end the podcast by just briefly, we don't have to go deep into it, but briefly going over the Sorcerer's Creed. So the first one is I understand my focus is the energetic cord that connects and charges me. Every day, I have the choice to plug into the illusion or plug in to the source.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a big one. Yeah, it's probably we won't have time to go all through them, but if you wanna pick a couple
Like
out, then maybe
briefly.
yeah, if you wanna but that's an important one, so that
Okay.
you can
Okay.
plug into the illusion or
Hmm.
plug into the source. So that's I made that creed, there's 13 of them, there are 13
It's like the Matrix.
beliefs, I
That reminds
guess.
me of the Matrix.
Yeah, yeah, well, it is we're living in the matrix, it's just on the other side of the matrix is not a bunch of AI using us as batteries. That's so the matrix is both fact and fiction. We are living in a matrix, but we're not being used as batteries by AI, so we're good, even though that makes a lot of sense right now, but yeah.
Maybe in the multiverse.
Yeah, there's a lot of possibilities in the multiverse. I'm not saying it's impossible, but the other side of this simulation is amazing.
Number 3 is I pledge to seek out knowledge. I am enrolled in a full time school called Life. Each day in school, I will take advantage and learn something new.
That's it. I mean, that's the key to that's another key to being happy is to continually learn, push yourself, learn.
Yeah.
We are in a full-time school constantly, and so the idea is to learn something new every day. And there's stuff out there, information. This is the age of information, and ignorance is a choice. It is a choice. So
Mm.
learn.
Yeah, I think it's about having I was just reading a psychological book called it's called Mindsets by Carol Dweck. And she talks the whole premise of the book is talking about having a fixed mindset versus she was the one that actually coined like the growth mindset thing. That's the key difference between a fixed and a growth mindset is somebody who's fixed is focused on the destination and achieving and the black and white and my worth is tied to achievements and goals and you're born with a certain intellectual capacity and you can't learn new skills or it's basically the opposite of growth mindset where you're born a blank slate and the possibilities are endless.
Yeah, the journey is the destination. That's how I like to put it.
Yeah, yeah,
The
yeah.
journey is the destination. So, yeah, if you constantly
Yeah.
focus on the destination, then you're never happy with the journey. Or
Yeah, I tell people that all the time who are so fixated on goals where it's like I love goals because they help guide us.
yeah,
But what I tell people about goals is okay, you can have that big goal, but for me, the goal is the work that I'm doing. So it's kind of just like the like what you just said.
yeah, the journey is the destination. That's what you should start telling them.
Yeah.
The journey is
The
the
journey is
destination.
the destination.
Yep.
Yeah. Next is number 4. I understand there are no failures, just lessons. Growth is a process of experimentation. The failed experiments are as much as a part of the process as the experiment that ultimately works.
Yeah, and then the next one kinda goes into the key to being a success is to be able to go from lesson to lesson without losing your
Yeah.
enthusiasm. So
Mhm.
that's a big deal. Understanding and, having the right perspective on failure is critical because people, the most expensive pieces of property out there are not in Malibu or Greenwich or Miami. The most expensive pieces of property are the cemeteries. I mean,
You said the cemeteries?
how many unseen through movies, books,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
like how many businesses, how many things went undone because of fear
The
that
deathbed
never
regrets.
we're never. I like to
Yeah.
always tell people like live life from your deathbed. Is this something you're going to look back on and say, I wish I would have? Because
Mhm.
you don't want your deathbed self. Real hell, I think, is you on your
Ooh.
deathbed meeting the you that you could have been. That's that's hell to me. That phrase kind of got me going in the right direction. So yeah, it's the fear of failure can really hold us back. So it is understanding that there is no failure. It's just some things work, some things don't, and just move on. And
Yeah. What
don't
did you
lose your
learn?
don't
Yeah.
lose your enthusiasm about the end goal. It's like there'll be lots of failures. It's just the way it is.
What is the golden rule? I will honor the golden rule and love others how I wish to be loved.
Yep.
Is
That
that
is the
the
golden
golden
rule.
rule?
Yep. The
Oh,
golden
that
rule
is.
is the golden rule technically is treat others how you wish to be treated. I put love others how you wish to be loved. It's pretty much the same thing. But yeah, that is the golden rule. Treat others how you wish to be treated. It is the only rule. It is the only rule that we need in society. If we treat others and love others like we wish to be loved, there's no issues. There's no wars. There's no famine. There's nothing. There's nothing. And it comes from that one rule. There is one rule. All these other laws and don't do this and don't do that, moot. There's one rule. And that's it.
I think that's the where the detriment of the ego comes in, where it's like, no, I'm right. No,
Yep.
it's like, no, my belief is right. You're wrong. My way of living is better than yours. So I think, yeah, I think it goes hand in hand with that. Treat others how you want to be treated, and then if you can find ways to dissolve the ego along that,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
maybe.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's chip away at it, dissolve it, integrate it, all the things.
Because some people will probably use love. They could use love against some people, right?
Oh, sure. It can be weaponized, just like anything can be weaponized.
Yeah,
And so, yeah, it's taking advantage, but that's not love. If you're trying to
right. Not real
use
love,
love, yeah, it's not love. It's this illusionary thing
false
that,
love.
yeah, it's not love. So it is the key is true love, unconditional.
Yeah. Number 11, I understand that I have the free will to choose my destiny. I have all the tools and resources I need, and what I do with them is up to me.
There's this big thing of is it free will or is it destiny? Well, it's both,
Oh, yeah,
but
yeah.
it depends on who you are. If you are a program running your program, it's destiny. If you are someone like you or I, and we've kind of woken up, we now have free will. So it is not free will or destiny. It is free will and destiny. It just depends on who you are.
Mm,
And so once you wake up, from your kind of slumber of your programming, you are now in charge of your life. You have the free will to choose your destiny once you elevate and
So
wake
how
up
would
from
you
the program.
describe that? How would you describe, let's say somebody is living their destiny? Like, what is that? What is I still don't even understand, like, what is destiny?
Well, we're programmed for three things. We're programmed for failure, mediocrity,
Mhm.
or greatness. Some people
Mm,
get instilled a program of greatness as a child, and they grow up to do amazing things and great things, and that is destiny. They're running their program, and that is good
mhm.
destiny. So their destiny is a positive one. And then you have people that were abused as a child, or I was quite neglected, and we're set on a different path.
Suffering to
Yeah,
go
we're
through,
now
yeah.
we're now programmed for failure. And we even though we
Mhm.
consciously want greatness, we're programmed for failure. So I kept failing over and over and not wondering why, even though consciously it was like, I don't want to be a loser. Yet I continued to do things that would make me a loser. So
Mm,
that is the destiny sort of thing. And mediocrity is the hardest one to wake up for because you're destined for mediocrity. And that can be kind of a hard one to wake up from because it's like, well, everything's okay.
doing the bare minimum.
Yeah, yeah. I have a job, I have a car, like
I'm stable.
I'm stable. Is good. It's all well, you're programmed for mediocrity, and that is your
Yeah.
destiny. You will continue to be mediocre because
Mhm.
that is your destiny. So it is either destiny, and if you wake up at some point, like I did, now I'm working on that failure programming. I am no longer.
The decision
Yeah, I
is a
now have a
choice.
choice in my life.
Yeah.
I have a choice for greatness. Whereas before, not understanding that I was programmed for failure, I didn't have a choice for greatness. I was choosing my destiny subconsciously. So I
Repeating
wasn't,
the cycles, the
yep,
patterns,
which is why it's free will and destiny. It just depends on who I'm talking to.
the
So I think with you, it is free will. With others, it is destiny. So it is, but it can be free will at any time, and that's the beautiful part is you can wake up, and once you have a connection with your
Yeah.
higher self, the person playing you on the video other side of the video game, that's your higher
The
self.
observer, the
Yep.
observer.
Yep, that's you. Once you have a connection with the you outside the simulation, you are now in full control of your life.
Yeah, like I always wonder, like where do these inspirations come from? Do you ever wonder that? Or it's like why do I feel so compelled to do this thing? And you don't know exactly where it came from.
Yeah, you're tuning into a possibility in the field. So every possibility exists in the field, and you're now tuning into a possibility that exists. Now it's up to you as a free-willed individual to go that route or to let it go. But you're tuning
Uh,
in to a possibility that already exists in the quantum field. So if you know that the multiverse and everything is happening all at once, and there are many
mhm.
versions of me, there are many versions of you, and so you're
Oh,
connecting to
like that
something that,
movie.
yeah,
Have you
yeah.
seen that?
Which one?
It's called Everything Everywhere All at
Yes,
Once.
yeah, that's
Um,
fantastic.
yeah.
The other good one is Dark Matter. It's on Apple. It's
Okay.
fabulous, and you kinda understand the different versions and timelines of. So
Yeah.
you've connected to a timeline that's going to happen. Now you can pull it into this timeline
Uh,
by your energy and following through with it if you want that to be a possibility in this timeline, but it's gonna happen in one of the timelines. It's already happened.
yeah,
So
that
you're pulling it
feeling
in.
that feeling to me, the best way I describe it is just feeling aligned.
Yep.
Like
That's what it
I
is.
feel aligned with like this is what I should be doing.
Follow it. 'Cause I mean, you have a choice. You're free-willed, so you can not follow it or you can follow it and see what happens. And I always advise to, if it's been put in your heart and you've connected to it and it's a possibility in the field, draw it into this one. Because there is definitely a dimension in which I do not succeed. There's a dimension in which I'm in jail probably
Mm,
right now.
mhm.
There's probably another dimension in which I'm dead. There's another dimension where I'm just a loser drinking every day. Like, I mean, there's many, but then there's dimensions where I succeed greatly and I get this out and I'm able to
Mm.
make a really good living and help a bunch of people. And so that dimension exists as well. And it's all based on our energy of which one are we pulling in? If I'm going to live in fear,
Mhm.
now I'm pulling in the drug addict me. I'm pulling that in. If I'm going to live in hope and have a vision and attached to that, live in that energy. Okay, well now you're bringing in that future.
You're attracting
So
that
it's,
energy.
yeah,
Yeah.
we're in a constant state of superposition at all times. Everything is possible at all times. It's superposition, and it's just based on your energy is what you're going to draw and pull in for the rest of your life.
Mm. Some deep stuff, man.
Yeah. Oh
I love
yeah,
it.
I like, yeah. Yeah, this is the
No,
get
I
curious.
love this.
That's the one thing I tell people is like, and what can you
Yeah.
tell? Get curious. Get curious. That's what I can tell you to start your healing. Get curious.
I know the answers to all of life's puzzles are inside me, and stillness is the key to that vault. All I need to do is pause, listen, and trust.
That is the meditative state. And your intuition, that higher self, the controller you that's playing you on the other side of the simulation, that's what you're listening to. And that is the only way to listen is to stop the chatter of the mind and to get clear and present. And then it starts to talk to you. If you're constantly doing stuff and you're in this state of convergent focus, which is you're on the computer, you're on your phone, you're talking to your kids, you're going to work, that's a convergent focus. The only way source will directly speak to you is if you create a divergent focus, which is a focus on the broadening of the focus, a focus on everything. And that happens in meditation.
Mhm.
And now you're saying to source, I'm free. Can we talk? Otherwise, it's not going to want to talk to you because you're saying I'm busy. If you're constantly, so that whole thing is just about pause, listen, and trust.
Yeah,
Pause, listen, trust.
I feel like that's huge today, especially because it's like we live in the age of information, but then we could feel overwhelmed, and then we also feed into the distraction, social media, doom scrolling.
Hmm. Yeah. Oh, it's prevalent today. It's very,
So we
very,
don't we
very
never
prevalent today.
actually we never actually just pause and reflect. We're always consuming something.
Mhm. Yeah, today it's gotten much, much worse than it was, even 20 years ago because of just the computer in our pockets where we can just, and that can be used
Yeah.
for good and bad. Again, it's two sides of one coin, like joy and fear. They're two sides of one coin. So, you can use that pocket thing and learn. And, I use it to look up things that I don't know, and that's great. Or you can use it for bad and do the doom scrolling thing in social media. And so, I mean, the phone, just like the Bible,
Yeah.
can be used for good and bad.
Mm.
So start using it
Mhm.
for good things. And it's not a bad thing, the phone, but it can be used just like the Bible is not a bad thing, but it can be used for evil. It can be twisted around and used, and phone's the same way. So yeah, it's having a healthy relationship with the phone, because it is the number one distractor from source energy. It's the number one by far.
Yeah. And lastly, you said, I pledge to approach every endeavor and obstacle I encounter with the confidence of a 5-year-old wearing a Superman cape.
That's my favorite one. Yeah. And that's how I like to look at things, because I'm a big superhero fan. There's a lot of pop culture in the book, but
Did you
that's
watch the new one?
the new Superman. Yeah, yeah, I thought it was great. I like their
Man, it was so good.
I like that they
I
were
was a
like
big fan.
getting James Gunn. I mean, he's that guy he was perfect to put in charge of DC. I'm excited for DC because I like DC over Marvel. Anyway, that's a geeky conversation.
Yeah.
I could go off a tangent real easy, but yes, I saw it and it's amazing. But that idea of just that kind of Superman as a 5-year-old, you are Superman. You put on that cape. And I like to use Superman over Batman. Just I like Batman better, but Superman flies. So, it's that suit. It's you put on that cape and you really believe you can fly. And I remember being there in that moment, and I was flying and jumping off the couch cushions, and I jumped off the couch into cushions and like flying. And so, if we approach every obstacle or difficult situation with the confidence of a 5-year-old in a Superman cape, we're going to overcome everything and be huge winners. Like, if you feel that, like when you're doing something, if you're
Yeah.
giving an important speech at work or whatever you're doing, and if you can generate that confidence, it's going to exude and you're just going to kill it. So that's why that's my favorite one.
Justin Shaw, is there any last thing that you would feel like whoever's listening right now would resonate with?
I would say stop living life like it's your last day and start living like it's your first. So that's a really bad advice, I think, to live life like it's your last day. Because for someone like me, I'm not going to do my yoga and
Oh,
meditation.
yeah.
I'm not going to do the things that are healthy. I'm probably going to end up at a bar, and I might rob a pharmacy. And that's going to be my last day, because it's my last day. Screw it. But if you start living
Yeah.
life like it's your first day, now you're building something for the future. I'm going to yoga and meditate. I'm going to learn, do things. I'm building something for the future. And I'm also going to be very curious about the world, because it's your first day. So you're curious about how humans work, about how this world is, constantly looking at things. Like sometimes I'll just pick up a leaf and just like look at really closely, and just get like, it's just
See
that
the
kind of,
particles.
yeah, it's the little particles. Yeah. And it's just that kind of stuff. It's just that curiosity. So if you start living life like it's your first day instead of your last, you're going to live a better life. So that's what I have to say to people.
I love that. Where could people go find you, check you out, get your book?
Yeah, so the book is on Amazon, and I just recorded the audio, which is really fun because I do voices and I get to tell my own jokes in the book, which is really
Oh, I
cool.
love audiobooks.
Yeah. I can send you.
Yeah.
I can send you a free code for an audiobook. If anyone out there, it's also on Audible. A lot of people have extra Audible credits. You can go in there and get it. That seems to be a very popular way to get. That's why I recorded it. You have to sit down and read a book, but an audio, you can be walking the dog or on the.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a much better way of doing things. But yeah, I'll send you that code. But you can reach out to me if you want to code yourself for a free audiobook or free ebook. It's sorcerer with a U 13 at Gmail. My Instagram, I've been happily off social media for 4 years now, but I'm back on
Oh,
Instagram
wow.
a couple months ago because I need something to communicate with people. So it's
Yeah.
sorcerer with a U _ 13. Yeah, it's fun to be back on there, but I was really happy off of it. It was like a horse wearing blinders. I ran a better race, and I still have Facebook
Oh,
PTSD.
it
So
helps you focus.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm never getting back on Facebook again. So but those are the two places. So the email, and then the website is awakenthesorcerer.com with a U. But yeah, the Instagram, you can email me if you want a free copy, or the book is on Amazon as well, or Audible, but that's how you can get it. And if you want to I do one-on-one sessions, Spiritual Sherpa. So you can email me for that as well. I enjoy doing that, and it seems to help people. So it's pretty cool.
Thanks, Justin.
Thank you.